gave us, and
slide. This is what I need.
and to distribute them to others equitably. So in the Quran, God says, and do not waste. Verily, he does not love the wasteful. So you know that in the house, the kitchen generates the most waste in the house because of the food packaging. So in my presentation here, you will see that. So first, you don't need an expensive kitchen, of course, and you don't need to change everything all at once. So we're going to begin with the in the kitchen where energy efficient appliances, we use all the time. And so first of all, please look for the Energy Star rated appliances and do your homework and compare. And then nowadays, the modern appliances use less water and energy. So for example, like the dishwasher, which instead of washing by hand, it's better to use a dishwasher because it uses less water. And also the washing machine also does the same. It senses the load, so that also uses less water and energy. So in this way, you can use your appliances efficiently. I also like to point out the oven that we use the most in the kitchen, and because I do multiple things in the kitchen. And also bake it and use the oven. So I feel that the oven needs to be used less. And so first of all, the newer ovens you don't need to preheat the ovens anymore. They heat up very quickly. And here's a meal that I prepare in the oven, all of it together, the sauce, the Mediterranean sauce, the meatballs, and then of course also the dough itself with the buns that I bake in there. So the whole meal is all prepared all at once in the oven. So you don't need to, and this takes about an hour for the whole meal to be prepared inside, and then you just switch off the oven, so which is a great idea. So and so this is the finished, this is what it looks like after the meal is done. And that looks pretty good, right? I'm hungry because I just had my fast and I only drank tea, so I'm pretty hungry now. So anyway, and then the other way to save energy in the kitchen and now summer is coming, spring's here. So you don't really need to cook. And you can do a no-cook night, and which you can do a nice salad, which I prepared over here. And also I like, there's a lot of cold soups out there. And my favorite ones here, the cucumber and yogurt soup, which is really delicious. And it's good all throughout the year. So these do very well in any season if you like this. And it's pretty filling. So do a no-cook night sometimes. Here are the fun, now I'm going to talk about some eco-friendly cookwares. Here are some fun cookwares that I have. I can't see myself here in the video, but if you can see me, I have my tagine over here. If you ever seen this Moroccan tagine, I cook a lot of foods in here, and I just slow cook it all day long. And it's very nice. Can you guys see it? I think you can see it now. There it is. So I love this. I love these kinds of pots, and I have a couple of them. And so now we're going to go. So we're going to talk about the cookware, the eco-friendly cookware. I just showed you one, the Moroccan one. And then also we have the cast iron, which is, I have several of these to use. And they are very useful. You can do roast, bake, everything you can do in this, and they are easy to clean. And the good thing about it is that now they come pre-seasoned, so you can you don't have to take much care of them, and they're wonderful, and they last for years and years, and you can pass them on as heirloom because they last forever. And then we have the stainless steel over here. Pots and pans. I've had this for like 15 years. This is stainless steel, but try to get the best grade. The best grade is 1810 or 18.8. So this is one of the best stainless steel cookware that you can get in the market. And they last a long time, and they're eco-friendly. And this one I have over here is a cookie sheet. And this is a little bit different, not a stainless steel. This is carbon steel, and it's pretty good. It's a nice cookie sheet. It also has pros and cons. It's eco-friendly. It's very nice. The only con with this is that it erodes a little bit faster. So as compared to our non-stick and aluminum, don't buy aluminum or nonstick, because like I said, I know they're very easy to use, and they clean easily, but you have to discard them very quickly, and they fill up the landfills. So what happens is that when they fill up the landfill, the chemicals are leaching out from them in the landfill. So this is not good for the environment at all. So we need to keep that in mind. Thank you. And then we have our glassware. Also, I also do a lot of cooking in my glass Pyrex. I bake, cook lasagnas, bake cakes. I mean, anything that you can put in the regular pan, you can also use a glassware. So this is also very good, not on the stove, but of course in the oven. And then also try to get some good wood sticks. These last a long time. So, try to invest in, they're a little bit expensive, but they go a long way. So, they don't end up in the landfill very quickly. And then we have, the thing is that stainless steel, and all these products that I showed you, they are a good investment, and they last pretty long, and they're good for the environment in place of the aluminum and the aluminum pans and the Teflon cookware. Now we go to the kitchen. Also, we use a lot of plastics. Wherever I go, people are always handing out plastic bottles, and I don't like plastic bottles at all. And we have invested in a water tank filter, and there's this particular one I have in my house, and we've had this for years and years. And we in our house use we are 4 people. We use, let's say, 3 times a day and 365 days a year. So we're using like 4,380 bottles if we were to use plastic bottles at home. So which we do not. So we're not filling up. And these plastic bottles do stay 400 to 1,000 years on Earth, and the Earth cannot digest it, and they release chemicals in the landfill. So please stay away from plastic bottles, and invest in a water filter. There are many different water filters out there. I just like this one because it lasts for months, and it's I get as much water as I can, and I have my reusable water bottles, and that's what I use. And that's a very good way of in the long run, it's inexpensive and also good for the environment. So anyway, here, I'm sorry, the log. Okay. So now we come to the eco-friendly packaging and storing. Of course, kitchen has the most waste in the kitchen because of the packaging. So if you love to cook, and you use a lot of kitchen a lot, so reusable will lower your carbon footprint. So like, for example, like I buy fresh produce, and I like to use this one's. They're very old, and I'm using them for I guess more than 20 years. And at that time, they didn't really have produce bags at that time. So I used to use these to buy my fresh produce and vegetables. And these are actually laundry bags. So I use them, and now I still use them for my produce. So it's recyclable, and they last a long time. So this is one of the good things to use. Then we have recycle pads over here. These are made from wood pulp, sponges, sorry. And then this is the scouring pad over here. This is made from agave plant. And then these are non-scratchable and also good for the environment. So these are some of the good kitchen stuff to use in your kitchen. We have also Ziploc bags that we don't use in the house, and so we use these. My daughter likes to use this every time she goes anywhere, or when she goes to go to school, and so we have quite a bit of these to use at home. So no Ziploc plastic bags. Then we have some of these silicone, they're like little buckets. You can put liquids in them. They also zip, so they're pretty good. They're a little bit expensive, but in the long run, it pays off. You can just imagine how many plastic bags and plastic utensils you can save in your kitchen by just using these. And so that's. Then we have the kitchen towels here. These are good for everything, instead of paper towels and napkins, keep this handy, a kitchen towel handy. I also use this to keep I bake on my own bread, so we can keep this warm in the kitchen. I mean, with this towel also. And also, these are, they have many uses. So please keep more kitchen towels rather than any kind of paper towels in the kitchen. And then,
Excuse me, Sam, I'm sorry to interrupt, but if you could wrap up your presentation, we'll go to the next one, and then we can have Q&A. And
okay. So here are some of the, I just showed you some of the, and here's a beeswax wrap, and this is how you wrap this. So this is for the bowl, so we don't have to use plastic wraps anymore. And then we go to the, and then the cleaning products. This is what I use for the cleaning products, a bucket, and then these are spray bottles. You just put vinegar and baking soda, and I use it for multiple use. We have hardwood floors and kitchens, bathrooms, everything. So I just use vinegar and baking soda all over the house, and we don't purchase any cleaning aid products at all. Just vinegar and water is good for us in our house. And then for dryer sheets, we don't use dryer sheets. We just use vinegar, and that's it breaks up this. There's no static, and it softens the fabrics. So these are the cleaning products we use in the house. And then the other thing is that now in the kitchen, when you eat lower on the food chain, of course, watch your waste, because water, energy, pesticides, and pollution went into the production of your food. So eat lower on the food chain, more fruits and vegetables and grains, and less red meat. And food waste ends up in the landfill, which releases methane gas as it decomposes. So increased greenhouse gas. And then you please use a local your farmer's market, and go to your farmer's market, because the food travels from one country to another state and distant in time, which makes the nutrition value go down, and it increases the high carbon footprint. And then also they also genetically modify foods, so which makes the food last longer. So you want to look for non-GMO foods. And with the farmers market, get to know your local farmers, and it's better because they have less packaging and better prices. And be smart about it. Ask for non-GMO, organic, pesticides free, and get to know your farmer, and be friendly with him, so he can invite you to the farm, and also help you manage your foods and vegetables healthier, without having to do anything, without having to have anything. Sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry about
Is there one last slide you want to show us, because we should really move on?
Yes.
Or are you?
These are the fruits and vegetables I grow in my backyard, and some herbs. Here's my zucchini, and it comes to the table fresh, no pesticides. It's free pesticide, an easy recipe. These are some of the seeds that I have in the house. They sprout up, and I do microgreens with that. And I've used a glass tray, which was given as a gift, and I couldn't use it, so I put soil in it. And so it's become my microgreens that I grow in it. And I have a bunch of seeds, and that's what I do. I grow them. Okay, now this is a good story. This is a good picture. Who gives off which picture pollutes more, the car or the cow? Guess what? It's the cow. The huge impact of eating cows. Cow emits methane, cow blood sugar causes acid rain. Beef has at least twice as large a carbon footprint per pound, and more cows equals less trees. Global meat consumption is increasing every year rapidly. So please be sensible of that. And here's my to-go message, Ubuntu. Ubuntu means if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So let's all join hands together, and let's make this world a beautiful place, and so that our children, our grandchildren can enjoy the earth, a greener earth. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That was awesome. Can you make these slides available to the people if they want to read more of it?
Yes, I did. And then if anybody wants the recipe, I've printed out. I have the recipe here, and it's easily, you can walk it through, and it will be available.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
If you stop sharing your screen, then Liz can share hers.
Okay. Thank you.
I should point out that both of their biographies are in the booklet that they talk about at the NTMA website. And also, if you contact NTMA, they'll contact Sam to get slides, and Liz. Okay, Liz Kunkel.
Anjum, and to my daughter, Sema.
Oh,
thank you so much for helping me. She's
thank you. Technical support.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Should I go? Sorry, I
yes,
can't
please.
see anything. It's like I'm behind one-way glass now when I'm presenting. Can you guys see my screen okay?
Actually, we don't.
Oh,
We
you
just
don't?
see, yeah, we're still
That's
on
not, oh, you know
gallery.
what? I'm sorry. I shared, I'm sorry, I apologize. Thank you.
Okay, that's okay.
I went into present mode, but not share first. Sorry, hang on. One thing at a time.
And now you have to go back.
Right. That's okay.
You need a daughter like she has.
I have it. I just did it in the wrong order.
Oh, there you are.
I went into present mode first, and I needed to go into share screen mode first. I blocked
Great.
myself out. Okay. Can you see my screen now? Okay. Can everyone see my screen? Sorry. Okay, great. Okay, so I am going to pick up, and hopefully you'll hear a couple threads that Sam mentioned carried through in this presentation. Obviously, she talked about, I loved this presentation that she did about all the different kinds of ways to reduce our footprint in the kitchen. And I'm going to focus on one aspect of that, which is specifically food waste and more generally organics that can include, cut flowers or landscape waste, general landscape waste in your backyard, and why we want to reduce the overall waste, the overall leftover amount of those things we have. Why we want to reduce it overall, and specifically why we want to compost what we have left over as opposed to put it in landfill. So this slide is a little busy, forgive me, but I love these graphics and I think they tell the story really well. So 1/3 of all food produced globally is lost or wasted. Lost means it's technically lost sort of on the way to the consumer. It might never make it out of a field. It might get lost on the way. It might spoil. It might be rotten. It might be overripe. It might be underripe. Never gets to the consumer. And then wasted food is food that we waste as consumers, whether in a restaurant, at home. It's food that we don't eat or we purchase and don't eat and then is left over. And then strikingly, food waste in the United States is the single largest material sent to landfills. And that statistic carries through to our state and our local areas. We are totally reflective of that, those statistics overall in our country. And then food waste, as Dr. Sam said, food waste that goes into landfill, it breaks down basically improperly. It leaches improperly, and it releases not just carbon dioxide, but more problematically, methane. And the reason methane is problematic is because it is, this slide, this graphic says something like 20 times more harmful. I've heard a number as high as 35 times more harmful. And what that, in terms of what that, how it's more harmful, is that it's 20 to 35 more times potent. It's more powerful at capturing the heat and keeping it in the atmosphere. So I heard another statistic that methane is responsible for something like 20% of carbon emissions over the last 20 years only. So many of us have heard for decades about the problems of carbon dioxide, and we're only recently hearing about the problem of methane and how much more problematic it is. And the problem with food waste is if it goes into landfill, it can't break down properly. So it has to release methane because it doesn't have the proper amount of oxygen and other materials to help it break down in a more organic way that is productive. So it doesn't just waste space in a landfill, it releases the harmful methane. Also strikingly, if food waste were considered a country, it would be the third largest emitter of global emission of greenhouse gases behind China and the US. If food waste were a country, it would be number 3. It blows me away. And then again, equally strikingly, even given those huge numbers and reflections on how much we waste, 1 in 6 Americans don't know where their next meal is going to come from. And as we know, there's much food security, not just in our country, but around the world, obviously. So it's really, it's morally reprehensible that we have all of this food being produced and or purchased and not eaten when so many people in our world can use it, and especially even in our own communities, right, in our own neighborhoods. So this other black and yellow graphic at the bottom, I really like a lot. It sums it up really nicely. Wasting food wastes everything. It wastes all those resources that go into creating it in the first place. The water, the land, the energy, gas, labor costs, the money, the love that goes into preparing meals, all those beautiful meals that Dr. Sam prepared. Can you imagine like not eating those and letting that go to landfill or even to compost? That's even a shame. But you know what I'm saying? If we're not going to eat it, the least we can do is compost it.
Liz, sorry to interrupt, but because you were reading at the bottom, we realized you're not actually in present mode, so some of it's getting cut off. So I think if you
Okay.
click that present button,
Where'd it go?
it's next to the yellow share button.
Well, I've got a couple different things at the bottom. I apologize. It says,
Okay.
oh, there it goes, resume share.
No, you're sharing, but
It
it's
says my
just,
screen sharing is paused, but I'm sorry, I don't know why.
well, we see your screen. It's just not in present mode, which is up kind of at the top. It's okay. I don't want to take up your time this way, but just realize that we can't see the last lines of your slide.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, let's see. I have another little bar. I'm wondering if it's blocking things. And now my cursor's not advancing my
Yeah,
slides.
I don't want to mess you
Oh
up. So
no. There
I'm
we
sure
go.
you're willing to share these slides as well. So whatever we
Oh,
miss, we could.
of course, but I'm
Yeah,
sorry about
so
that. I
please.
can't, it says it's paused, but I can't see how to do anything differently though. It gives me the option to stop sharing, but not
Okay, can you
to
advance
change
your
what mode.
slides?
Say again?
Can you advance your slides, or is it
I'm
stuck?
on the right one for now. It went
Okay.
back into, so I apologize for the
Okay, good luck.
technical difficulties. So this slide obviously is about composting. Composting specifically is nature's way of recycling organics. It's the way that we take food waste and landscape waste and turn it into a healthy soil amendment. What I love about composting is that it includes not just food scraps, but soiled paper, food, contaminated paper products can also be captured in, not in your backyard compost, but in certain compost services. So it can be really comprehensive. Now my slide's not advancing again. Oh dear. I'm going to try to stop sharing and get back in and see if that fixes it.
If anyone has more technical expertise, just raise your hand and I'll unmute you. We are down to 5 minutes. And
I know. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to try to go quickly. Okay, so one of the other things I love about composting is that it totally makes sense. To me, it's totally intuitive. You take your green products, which are your food scraps, your grass clippings, your plant cuttings, and then you mix them with brown. That's the carbon. The greens are nitrogen, brown's carbon. Woody plants, straw, sawdust, newspaper, non-recyclable paper goods, like I mentioned. Those, what I love about it is that the food scraps actually want those things. They want those things that you have in your kitchen. They want those things that you have in your yard. And then you mix it all together and it creates this amazing soil amendment. So reducing, and that's the other reason I really truly love composting. This is why I stopped practicing law 2 years ago and started doing this full time, because reducing and composting our food waste actually reverses climate change because of that not releasing methane, but also because it absorbs existing emissions, it ceases new emissions, it absorbs existing emissions, and it increases our resilience to the effects of climate change by helping things like retain water better, increase absorption in the soil. It makes soil more healthy, and it also decreases runoff, so it helps with flooding issues. There's a project, a project called Project Drawdown, a book of the same name published in 2017, lists the top 100 things that we can do collectively and individually to reverse the effects of climate change. On that top 100 list, reducing food waste is actually number 3, amazingly, and then composting it is number 60. So if you do those 2 steps, you're doing a twofer. The other thing I like about composting is that it closes the loop. It's an equitable solution. It removes the possibility of a fence line community getting our waste. It removes the possibility of food waste going to another community making them deal with the emissions, the fumes, sorting through it. We've seen the pictures. It's the equitable solution, and it's a positive solution. We should all want this in our communities precisely because it does increase our soil health. It's an energy, it's a source of energy, not just for our soil. I mean, it can become waste to energy. It can become biofuel. We need to be thinking of our food scraps as a resource that we're wasting literally by putting them in landfill, not to mention the damage that we're doing by doing that. So composting is also something that everybody can do. And that's what I actually work for, a compost company. I don't just work for Go Green Winnetka, a nonprofit, but I work for a compost company. You can compost whether you live in a house, in an apartment, a tent, a trailer, a tiny home, a big house. It doesn't matter. There's a service for you. There's a solution for you. And honestly, that's what I help people do, is figure out what your solution is, what your systems need to be in your kitchen, in your backyard, what service can help you, whether it's a ride along, a curbside, a year-round program. The orange buckets are called a container swap program. That's what I work for. It's more of a door-to-door service. I like those because most of those services are what we call commercial composting services, which means the food waste specifically gets mixed in with the landscape waste, as opposed to just putting your food scraps in your backyard with other waste. It's done on a larger scale, so food waste can break down more quickly. You technically could put food scraps like meat and dairy in your backyard. They would just take forever to break down and probably attract things you don't want in the meantime. So, but it can be done. But the commercial element, taking it off your property, allows it to happen at a much larger scale and a much faster level. Composting is also, it's an art. It's not just a science. Don't worry about making it perfect. Just start, grab a bucket, grab a container, start throwing some easy vegetable scraps. I like non-threatening vegetable scraps, some lettuce, some carrot rinds. I like banana peels. Put them at the base of your flowers. You don't even have to mix them with anything else. Put them at the base of your roses, coffee grounds, things like that. So don't get bogged down in feeling like it's got to be perfect. It doesn't. And of course, critters are an issue if you're doing it in your backyard. A lot of these services are designed to avoid that because of how they are run. So again, that's what I help. Whatever your obstacle is, I want to help you overcome it so you can figure out what composting solution works for you. Composting even has its own awareness week. It's coming up May 2nd through 8th. It's International Compost Awareness Week. I actually encouraged our state senator, Laura Fine, to introduce a resolution proclaiming that week in Illinois as Compost Awareness Week. And I just found out yesterday that's happening. She introduced it. I don't know for sure that it will pass, but I'm hoping so. Our state resource for composting and food scrap issues is the Illinois Food Scrap Coalition. Its website is here, illinoiscompost.org. That is a standalone organization that's been working in Illinois for more than a decade, and it recently became the chapter for the U.S. Composting Council, which is a national organization. And the USCC is involved with the Compost Awareness Week programming. So IFSC, the Illinois Food Scrap Coalition, is doing a whole week of programming during the weekdays of Compost Awareness Week. That's Monday, May 3rd through Friday the 7th. So if you're interested, my email is right there, and I'm happy to give you the links for some of the, we're doing a lunch and learn series every day that week on Monday, from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Monday through Friday. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening, and let us know of any questions. And sorry for the technical difficulties.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you. That was excellent. Looks like we have a minute. Maybe if anyone has a question.
53 seconds.
Yeah, that's a lot of time. If anyone has a question.
Thank you all for sticking around. Honestly, it's late. I mean, it was a wonderful program, but we appreciate
Liz,
you being here.
maybe I can ask you a question because I had one as we were doing. So people are worried about smell and like the smell of rotting. So if you just kind of throw it in the backyard, that would be bad. But so what do you suggest?
Right. But not necessarily. If you do vegetable scraps in the backyard, there's really little smell. The smell comes from when it doesn't break down properly. It smells worse in your garbage than it does if you separate it. It's not breaking down improperly. That's where the odor comes from. So you have typically you have a little kitchen container and some other container in your garage or other pantry space, like a recycling bin. You have a larger container, you put the food scraps there if you're using a commercial system, and then it gets picked up on a weekly basis